All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing okay. Uh, Today we're going to get right into it. You know, I took a look today at the news when I woke up, as I always do, and I saw an interesting piece on CNN. I take everything, like I've been saying, I take everything that these news organizations put out now with a grain of salt. And I saw something, and I didn't see right away what it was. What type of article it was, but it said Trump gave another wildly irresponsible interview to Sean Hannity. Now, I watched that interview, and as always, it kind of seems like you can look at it two different ways. Hannity is giving the president quite a bit of respect, as I would think you should, but you could also think of it as he's kissing his ass. And I couldn't stomach the whole interview. After I don't know, a few minutes of the interview, I had to just cut it off because I couldn't take it. But I looked at CNN and I see, oh, they're talking about this interview, and then I noticed in the box with Hannity and Trump, it says analysis. So it's their analysis of what's going on, and it started It's 24 things. Let's see if I can get this here. 24 lines that Trump has used. 24 most wildly irresponsible lines from Donald Trump's latest interview with Sean Hannity. Now, it's not actually one interview. It's from two different interviews. It's from March 5th and also March 27th. However, I found some of the lines to be kind of humorous, and then I started thinking about, hey, this is not the only president who has been either, it depends on how you want to look at it, he's either a knucklehead, a dummy, brilliant with flashes of, what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know, craziness, however you want to put it, eccentricity. You can look at it a number of different ways, but I thought he surely is not the only one. And I started trying to think about the different things that other presidents have said and done. And one of the funniest ones that I came up with was by Harry S. Truman, and he said, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. Because it certainly seems like even if you think somebody's a friend to you in Washington, a month, a year, whenever, they could turn around and backstab you. So you're never quite sure who your friends are. They might be your enemy, which, so this sentence, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog, is pretty appropriate. Is there anybody out there today, or is my stream not working? I'm curious to know. I know this was a bit spur of the moment, but the big news today, before I go any further, the big news today is in Thailand. They have announced that, formally announced, the Thai government has formally announced that foreigners in the country will get an automatic extension of stay until April 30th. So, right from their website, it says announcing the latest relief measures on April 7th, 2020. They didn't really formally release these measures until either late last night or this morning, I'm not sure. But the person whose visa has expired from the 26th of March 2020 will be automatically extended to April 30th, 2020. There is no need to apply for a visa extension at immigration office for this period and will not be fined 500 baht a day for this case. So that's great. Aliens who are due for a 90-day report between the 26th of March 2020 and 30th of April 2020 are temporarily exempted from reporting in this period until further notice. I have mine up here. Mine is my 90-day report. I have to do a 90-day report. My 90-day report is not due until May 26th. So, aliens who are holding border passes will be allowed to stay in Thailand for now. However, aliens with border passes must depart Thailand within 7 days of the border crossing point's opening date. Okay, so if you're crossing over on land and you're someone who has to cross over because you have a border pass, like for instance in Mae Sot in western Thailand, kind of central, northern, western Thailand. There's a lot of Burmese coming over, various places around the country, obviously. Those people have to leave within 7 days of the border crossing points opening dates. Aliens are advised to follow announcements regarding immigration closures closely for updates. Measures announced are until April 30th or further updates. So that's something else to keep in mind. If you're here in Thailand, maybe that gives you a little bit of respite. I know that there was at least one person in the chat who was wondering what he was going to do. I don't know if he's listening or, hey guys, how's it going? Tom, what's happening? I don't know if he got out of here already, the jiu-jitsu guy, New York jiu-jitsu guy, or he's still here. I don't know. But that's a good thing. Obviously, it helps people. It helps people because guys were having to stay here if they were overstayed, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get home, but maybe their country doesn't allow them back in. They're stuck and they're paying 500 baht a day. So, and the other thing to consider is that I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't know that this is going to be that they're going to reopen everything by the 30th of April, that they're going to start letting people go in and out of places. I don't know that that's going to happen. It might. So they may give another extension. Then again, they may not. It depends because the numbers are... yesterday, I think it was 111 new people were infected. But out of those people, I think it was 42 from Indonesia who... they came in, they were allowed back into Thailand. They were Thais, they were allowed back into the country, and they were positive for the virus. So if you take away that, you're down to about 69 people. So, the numbers have been under 100 if you don't include that batch of Thais who came in from Indonesia. The numbers have been under 100, which is fairly low, but I think the thing to remember is that, and I have to tell myself this, is that what happened, say, 2 weeks ago is affecting us now. What they do right now affects us in another 2 weeks or so, in the coming weeks. So I don't know that they're going to be just... that everything's going to be back to normal by April 30th. They may extend it until May 30th, and then May 15th they may decide to open it up. Who knows? But that's a good thing for people here, and I think it's important to note that contrary to what some people will have you believe, the Thai government, I think, they do care about what happens with foreigners. They're not totally oblivious and they're not totally heartless. I think it takes them some time, just like anywhere else, to get everything into motion and to set it into stone. To get everything approved, to figure everything out. And sometimes they get it wrong. I mean, most definitely, not only the Thai government, but every other government. So take that for what it's worth. I think it's important. What are your thoughts on China being appointed a seat in the Human Rights Council? Total menace. I think I talked about that already, and yeah, I talked about that already. And I mean, what are you going to say? There's not much to say, you know. They don't belong there, and it's as simple as that. They don't belong there. They have no reason to be. They have no reason to be, and it just shows what a farce the UN is. The UN, the WHO, all these places are rife for corruption, rife for favoritism, nepotism, all these things, all these isms. So something to think about in the near future. I don't know what the United States or anybody else is going to be able to do. Trump's already said that he's planning on at least taking a closer look at defunding or only partially funding uh, the World Health Organization. And I think it's kind of atrocious how the UN has operated for years. I mean, really, it's just terrible. They're basically a toothless tiger. So anyway, let's get on to what I was talking about here. So anyway, I was looking at this Hannity and Trump irresponsible interview, and I came up with a few things that various presidents have said. One of the most famous ones was Ronald Reagan when he said, "My fellow Americans," this was off camera, but his mic was still on. "My fellow Americans, I am pleased to tell you I just signed legislation which outlaws Russia forever. The bombing begins in 5 minutes," which was pretty good. I thought that was pretty funny. John Kennedy said, he said, "If I don't have a woman for 3 days, I get terrible headaches." I feel for you, buddy. Let's see here. What's another one here? I love this one from Warren G. Harding. "I am not fit for this office and should never have been there." So some of these presidents, they know. Once they get into the hot seat, they know what a shitstorm they've entered. Now, there's another one that I thought was really good that I wanted to read. If I can find it here. I think it was by Roosevelt. Or was it Roosevelt? Let's see here. No, Martin Van Buren. "The two happiest days of my life were those of my entrance upon the office and my surrender of it." So, he's a perfect example of being unprepared or for what was going to happen. And then once he got in, he was happy to get out. Let's see here. Ulysses S. Grant. He once said, "I only know of two tunes. One of them is Yankee Doodle, the other isn't." So can't help but think the world is just a big Game of Thrones. Well, I don't know what to think anymore. Uh, I'm a pretty analytical, insightful person, uh, and uh, I'm pretty much an introvert. Although when I get around people, I'm okay. But for the most part, I like being alone. I like being to myself because I know myself. I don't have to deal with anybody else. I just have to deal with myself. It's much easier. It's kind of like when you somebody who says, "Oh, I prefer animals to humans," because you know how animals are going to react, and you don't always know how humans are going to react. I mean, think about maybe the time you had some girlfriend. You thought everything was fantastic. You're having great sex. She's telling you she loves you so much, and then one day she just leaves. She walks out. "I've never been happy with you." I mean, those kind of things. You know, I guess a dog could turn on you. Your favorite Doberman loves you and everything like that, and then he turns on you. But it seems like people are much more unpredictable. By the way, I found the Trump Chinese reporter interview from the other day. Funny. Yeah, what I find abhorrent about that whole situation is how they let her in. How would you let somebody like that in when you know they have ties uh, to the Chinese government? You know. Well, I've never had that happen beyond Trinity. Well, I don't know about that. I don't have that experience, but that wouldn't be great, obviously. Let's see here. Now, this one I really like, and this is not exactly what I would call, uh, it's not going to make you roll on the floor laughing, but it is pretty insightful. Tired and stressed out of his role as president, John Adams stated, "No man who ever held the office of president would congratulate a friend on obtaining it." And I was thinking about, well, what are the attributes that a man or woman, for now, a man, has to have in order to be president? And I came up with three just off the top of my head. First, a president or a world leader needs to be a chameleon so that they can fit in anywhere. Second, they need to be a good bullshitter so that they can squirm their way in or out of any situation. So they need to be a chameleon so they can blend in anywhere. They need to be able to squirm their way in or out of a situation. They need to be a good bullshitter. They know how to talk their way out or in. And the third thing is a lack of common sense, because who in their right mind would want to be the president of the United States? Yo, what's happening? What's happening? Soy Dog Cowboy and everybody else. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, I think in order to be a president, you've got to have certain attributes. You probably have to have a massive ego. I don't know about that, but it sure seems like it. So let's see here. Something else that I came up with when I was looking through, when I was reading the news this morning, and I came up with from CNN again. Once again, because they are fodder for a good number of jokes. It says CNN poll, majority of Americans, and let me shut this off before they start it. They automatically play these. I hate this. Maybe they won't play it. CNN poll, majority of Americans now say the federal government has done a poor job of preventing coronavirus spread. Well, what government has done a good job? I don't really know of many other than, say, Taiwan, South Korea, and maybe a couple of others, but not many have done what you would consider a great job. And they are in a different position politically and otherwise than the United States. So I take this poll with a grain of salt, especially because this poll was done by CNN. Okay? So if they want to add some what? What's the word I'm looking for? Some credibility to this poll, they really need to use somebody who is not going to side with them. It does say, who's SSRS? Let me see here. What is this? Let's see. Let's double check, because they say it was full service survey and market research firm. I want to know about where they. Yeah, see, they're constantly doing things for CNN, which leads me to believe that they side with CNN. So it couldn't be some organization that might be neutral. But anyway, they say a majority of Americans, 55%, now say the federal government has done a poor job preventing the spread of coronavirus in the United States, up 8 points in about a week, according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS, as the nationwide death toll from the virus rose above 12,000%. Now, I have to just look at it and just go, it's a CNN poll. That in itself makes me question everything. I don't think someone checked who owns the paper, referring to Hong Kong Phoenix TV, and the woman whose name was Yu Wang. I'm not going to say anything about that, but it is a pretty funny name to me. Sorry. They probably figure, oh, Hong Kong must be a good paper. Yeah, but you see, this is the thing. Hong Kong, unfortunately, is under the thumb of the CCP. And they may act like, and the CCP and China might act like, oh, we're two separate entities, one country, but they're not. They're definitely not. And that is why the Hong Kongers are so pissed off. Need a very good big ego. Bernie threw in the towel. Yes, I understand that. LOL, that's the poll you reference. Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, it's funny. I can't believe that they're actually, I mean, I guess, hey, if you're pro CNN and you love CNN, then, you're just going to be like, oh, well, they're legitimate. They're not doing anything wrong. Oh, come on. If that ain't a setup, I don't know what is. Chester A. Arthur, I love this. If it were not for the reporters, I would tell you the truth. Let's see here. And then I like this one a lot. When they call the roll in the Senate, the senators do not know whether to answer present or not guilty. That's by Theodore Roosevelt. All right, let's come up with another one here. Oh, there's more? Wow. Got a lot of them here. Presidents, they tend to speak. And sometimes they say funny things. How about the poll on how the economy is doing after almost everyone is told not to show up to work and close their business? That's hilarious that they think that poll matters now. Now, this is the thing. I think if you look at it, a true news organization, which I don't know how many there are, maybe Reuters sometimes, Al Jazeera, BBC, some of them, the BBC, but a truly neutral organization would concentrate on what's being done now, and then they would have a small portion dedicated to, hey, could we have done something better? What can we look forward to? But what I think CNN concentrates on, and the left, like, what is it? What is that one site? The Hill? Is that what it is? The Hill. I can't keep up with all these. My memory is just not good enough. They tend to concentrate on where we screwed up. And that doesn't do a bit of good right now. And it was funny because in today's press conference, you had Mike Pompeo come up, and they were grilling him about, shouldn't you have done this? Didn't you know about this? Weren't you told about this? Wasn't the president told? And he just goes, hey, listen, now is not the time for that, to paraphrase. Now is not the time to look at everything we've done wrong right now. The only time you should be looking at what went wrong or what has been done wrong, if it means in the immediate future we need to make some changes. That's it. Because you're not going to get the head of the World Health Organization out of his position. You're not going to impeach Trump right now. nor should you try to impeach him again. It's just the most idiotic thing that I can think of. It's divisive, it's idiotic, it's a long shot, and what's the point? The point is to tie things up to make him uh, less productive. So, Soy Dog Cowboy, how you doing out there in New York? I'm really disappointed about Zoom, by the way, because I just saw that they're being sued now by another somewhere else. Yeah, you should try ginkgo biloba extract to help with memory. CNN survey says it's true. Survey says. I feel like I'm. What is that? Family Feud. That's kind of what. That's kind of what it is. You know. Now there is one good thing to say about. Uh, a dictatorship. It's only one person calling the shots, so it's not. You don't have to go through a long list of procedures in order to get something done. I like this one too. Herbert Hoover said, "Blessed are the young, for they will inherit the national debt." Ain't that the truth? Ugh. Well, what was this? Calvin Coolidge. His wit was once described as sharp and cold as a frost etching on a window pane. According to the New England Historical Society, a truly stereotypical New Englander, Coolidge was as thrifty with his words as he was with taxpayer money. In fact, that was what made it so funny when a woman sitting next to him at a dinner party said, "I bet I can get more than 2 words out of you." And Coolidge replied, "You lose." Who is that on your wall? LOL. What's so funny about what's on my wall, Holly Madison? Please. What really? What I'm curious to know. What is so funny about it? Why does there have to be an LOL up there? How about you just ask me, who's that on your wall? What is that? Where'd that picture come from? No. Who's that on your wall? LOL. It's funny, yeah? That's the thing. People find humor in from different sources. All right, let's move on here. See if we can find something else that gives us a little chuckle. Did Eleanor Roosevelt go to prison? Because it says in this one, Eleanor Roosevelt's gone to prison. I'm not surprised, but what for? That's what her husband, Franklin Roosevelt, said. She went to the penitentiary to visit. And, yeah, she'd gone to prison. Let's see here. My choice early in life was either to be a piano player in a whorehouse or a politician, and to tell you the truth, there's hardly a difference. That's Harry S. Truman. I guess that if you look at a photograph on the wall, a print on a wall, and you find humor in that, so be it. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's a funny photograph, but it's not like a dog standing upside down. Wow. President Franklin Roosevelt invented the term iffy in the 1930s to dismiss questions at various press conferences. Today we use it to communicate the status of that month-old bread in the refrigerator. It's iffy. Uh-oh, did my air go off? Upon sending an urgent message to Congress, Abraham Lincoln said about Southerners, with rebellion, thus sugar-coated, they have been drugging the public mind of their section for more than 30 years. An official government printer found the term to be too casual and asked Lincoln to change it for the record. Lincoln refused. The result, the perfect word bomb to drop in your next argument. Let's not sugarcoat it. I like that word. I didn't know that he was the person who came up with it. Let's see. If it was a women's prison, she might have been going in for a date. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Abraham Lincoln, on the subject of Abraham Lincoln, he was a dry-witted, rather humorous fellow. One of his most hilarious quotes is, "If this is coffee, please bring me some tea. But if this is tea, please bring me some coffee." And I can relate to that because I drink tea and coffee. And, hell hath no fury like a man given shitty coffee or tea. He also came up with this phrase. If I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one? So he acknowledged that that his good looks, I guess. That's too funny. All right, what is this one here? Oh, please. I don't want to hear from Obama. But he did say, what? President Obama riffed off the popular Michael Bay flick when he used the term snowmageddon to describe the huge snowstorm that hit Washington, D.C. in 2010. The snow may have melted, but the saying has stuck. It hasn't stuck with me because I'm not in an area where there's snow, and quite frankly, I wouldn't use that word if you paid me. Well, maybe if you paid me I would, but I wouldn't use that word, okay? It's just the way that it is. I wouldn't use it. Now, I like this one, and I use this one quite often. Does anybody know what that word might be? The word is belittle. Do not try to belittle the person. Do not try to belittle me. I will not belittle him. In 1788, Thomas Jefferson was so inspired while writing about the natural beauty of his home state, Virginia, that he just had to make up a whole new world to describe it. The Count de Buffoon believes that nature belittles her productions on this side of the Atlantic. Boom! Belittle was born. But Jefferson didn't stop there. The third president gets credit for more than 100 new words, such as lengthily. I've never heard lengthily. Monotonously, now that one. And, randomly enough, pedicure. Wow. So every time I ask for a pedicure, I'm using something that the great Thomas Jefferson once spoke from his mouth. Now here's another one. I really like this one too. Squatter. 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 Let's see here. Are out-of-work hipsters camping out in your neighbor's apartment? Well, thanks to James Madison, there's a word for them. The first recorded use of the word squatter was in a 1788, my dyslexic, letter from Madison to George Washington discussing homeless Maine residents that lived on other people's property. If it's good enough for a president. Now, listen, I got to say something. I don't think that he's the first one who came up with that word, because I think if you were to look back in Thailand's history, they've been using the word squatter when it comes to the toilet. Is it a Western toilet or is it a squatter? They've been using it for hundreds of years. Oh, God. All right. I don't know about gas prices. No idea. I always wanted to do a role play where I dress as Thomas Jefferson and have my way with Sally Mann. Okay, that's interesting. Glad to know that. Like to hear it. Wonderful. All right, what's the next word? Founding fathers. Wow, that was founded, used first by Warren G. Harding. Administration. It seems only fitting that the first person to hold the office of the presidency first coined the term for a president's time in office. In his farewell address in 1796, George Washington said, "In reviewing the incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error." The word itself existed before this, but Washington was the first who used it to refer to a president's tenure. Well, I use it all the time. I've said that several times just in the past few streams. Why don't I get credit for it? What's going on here? Squatter in the porn industry. Steve, you would know better about that than I do. I have no idea about any of the porn terminology. It's not my thing. I prefer the real thing. Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Who came up with that one? Was that me? In 1906, Teddy Roosevelt used the word in a speech to disparagingly describe unscrupulous journalists digging in the muck for juicy gossip. The word is muckraker. He discovered the term muckrake, in a more literal sense, in the book Pilgrim's Progress and tweaked it for his own purposes. However, as time passed, the word has evolved to have a positive connotation too, depending on the context. Journalists who took risks in order to expose corruption or scandal to the public could also be muckrakers. Wow, that's pretty interesting. I did not know that he was the one who came up with that. All right, where are we at here? Let's see. Hidden talents. Oh, that's a good one, too. George Washington was a dancer. Quite good, apparently. Often with a new lady on his arm. So he was a player. Thomas Jefferson was an architect. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. John Tyler was a musician. He was studying to be a concert violinist before switching to law and eventually the presidency. Interestingly enough, I know someone who is studying the wow, what is this jackass? Let's see here. What's next? What is next? The hidden talents. James K. Polk was a lover of brandy. Now, does that take skill? Ooh, at the age of 17, he had urinary stones removed while wide awake. Oh, Lord, how did they do that back then? Can somebody do the research on that? How did they take out urinary stones back in the day, which is what, 18 something? It had to be in the early 1800s. Franklin Pierce had a supercharged memory. He recited his inaugural address from memory. He gave his entire 3,319-word speech without a single note card. Wow. Now that's pretty wild. How about, here's our buddy Abe Lincoln. Abe never told a lie, Lincoln, which is actually not true. Long before he wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, President Lincoln co-owned a tavern in Illinois. But his booze business was short-lived when the store fell into debt. Lincoln was soon abandoned the pint glasses for law books. Interesting, very interesting. Let's see here. Chester A. Arthur had expensive taste. Known as the gentleman boss, Arthur had elegant taste and an appetite for the finer things, but his passion ran up a big bill. He regularly hosted lavish 12-course feasts at the White House, owned more than 80 custom-made suits, and took an ornate horse-drawn carriage to all of his social events. Now that's pretty cool. I wonder at whose expense that was. Probably the taxpayers. Where's that other one that I just saw? Let's see here. Jimmy Carter was a speed reader, and he could read 2,200 words per minute with a 95% comprehension rate. Wow. Very interesting. Things that make you go, Let's see. Now, there is the myth, while we're on the subject of presidents, I'm enjoying this. While we're on the subject of presidents, George Washington cut down a cherry tree. That is a myth. We cannot tell a lie. This tale of honesty is a total fake. The story goes that a 6-year-old Washington cut down his father's cherry tree with a hatchet. Yeah, good luck with that. When his father asked what happened, he came clean, proving his honesty and courage, but the tale didn't appear until after the president's death in the 5th edition of Mason Locke Weems' biography about him. Wow. Things that make me go, wow. Very cool. Let's see here. Oh, now this is a funny one. What was his name? Franklin? Wasn't it Franklin Taft? What was it? William Taft. America's largest president. He was a big boy. 5'11", 340. Wow. Big boy. He got stuck in a bathtub. Except that's a myth. He did order an extra large bathroom to be installed into the White House. Now, I'm wondering if it's still there or they still have it somewhere. The story he got stuck in the old one doesn't hold water. The anecdote was first told in the White House usher, like Hoover's 1934 memoir, 42 Years in the White House. But there's no other documentation about the event. But he did have another awkward bathroom moment in 1915 when he displaced enough water climbing into a hotel tub that the water flooded the floor and seeped down and dripped on the heads of guests of the floor below. The next morning, as he gazed over the Atlantic, Taft quipped, "I'll get a piece of that fenced in someday, and then when I venture in, there won't be any overflow." Wow, that's rather embarrassing. Although at least he didn't get caught on the toilet. Oh, what is it with these people? President Trump said that aircraft carriers are big ships, powerful ships. Oh, yeah, I've got to read some of these. Because actually, I will say that some of the stuff, it really does come off as he comes off as quite the fool when he's speaking. He's not the best speaker off the cuff, which, is putting it mildly. But when they bring you to the hospital with this one, this is not having your appendix taken out. It's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Dr. Trump doing his daily rounds. This is one of the 24 things that Trump has said in his interview. This can't be just from his interview. This has to be his interview and also from his press conferences. So, things are happening. I haven't seen bad. I've not seen bad. This is Trump talking about his push for hospitals to use hydrochloric when on patients struggling to combat coronavirus. Worth noting here that Trump is not a doctor, and B, most doctors are wary of recommending the antiviral malarial drugs used broadly until more testing is done, and away we go. All right, so now this one, I got to say, this one's bullshit, okay? Complete bullshit. No, what is this here? Bladder stones removed via the perineum and without anesthesia. Oh my goodness. That's just gnarly. If you don't know what the perineum is, what am I saying that right? Perineum, yeah, that's right. Perineum, I'm not sure how it's said properly, but it's also called the taint. You know, that's one other way. And it's also called your Schwebby. I've heard it called the Schwebby also. The Schwebby and the taint. Oh, yeah, I guess we got a lot of people in here. The 50 centers, the trolls, the guys who don't like me. But that's okay. They're sad. That's all. Sad human beings. A lot of those. You know, the more you look, the more you find them. Once you get it, I mean, if you're... Okay, so let me get back to this. So you know things are happening. I've not seen bad. Now, he's referring to this hydrochloroquine, and what CNN is saying, oh, well, unless it's been tested for the coronavirus, you should not use it, which perhaps in theory they are correct. However, they keep going on and droning about this, moaning, groaning, droning, on and on and on about this this statement that he's making, which he said, and you know, he doesn't have to say he's not a doctor. It's very clear. Most semi-intelligent people know that he's not a doctor. They're fully aware of this. I mean, you talk to some guy in some little village in Laos, and they probably know who Trump is, and they probably know he's not a doctor. Well, maybe not. I wouldn't go that far. They might not know. But if I was to ask my wife if Trump is a doctor, she'd be like, what? He's a businessman. Now, the thing is that he goes on and on about this stuff because if there is a chance that it can be used, it's been proven to not be dangerous. Now, I'm not saying that if you misuse it or if it's used in excess, it's not dangerous. Of course, any drug is. But I think basically all he's saying is, hey, listen, if you're down to the wire and it's like death or try hydrochloroquine, then you use hydrochloroquine and the Z-Pack and maybe zinc. Okay? Okay, so let's say that, you know, people think he's a doctor. He's flat out said he's not a doctor numerous times. True or not? You know? Anyway, you know, you can go on and on and on and on about this with the anti-malarial drug. I think that when it comes to this, he said numerous times, I'm not a doctor. And while some people have said, okay, yes, it hasn't been proven, we're not sure about this, we don't have cases. There are other people that have said, oh, yes, it has worked wonders. Now, maybe it had nothing to do with the drug. But if you take the drug and you are someone who is in a bad way, you're nearing death or you're declining quickly, and all it takes is to take a little bit of this hydrochloroquine, whatever the dosage may be, and the Z-Pack and the zinc, whatever the doctors, real doctors, I'm not talking about, you know, voodoo doctors or somebody like that. I think that and exactly what he said is, what is the harm if you're going to die or you are in a bad way? It's not going to kill you. It's been proven. This has been proven. You may have some side effects, but it's been proven it's not going to kill you. Come on, if the president said don't use it, tomorrow everyone that used it and survived would be on the CNN saying hydrochloroquine saved their life. And yeah, this is it. It's all, this is a game show. This is a game show now. It is. Somebody said the other day, and I don't know exactly who it was. Somebody in the chat said this is entertainment. The news has become entertainment. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit about what some movie star, what bikini she's wearing, and how good she looks now. I don't care. Does it matter? It doesn't matter to me. I mean, listen, if she puts out a movie and she's getting jiggy in it and she's naked, hopefully she'll look good. But other than that, I don't care. I don't care. They're not real to me. I know they are real people, but they have absolutely no effect on my life. And there are way too many people, and I've seen this in some of the comments left on sites like Yahoo and CNN. Oh my God, they get so into this, like, oh my God, Brad Pitt did this to Jennifer Aniston. Oh, you don't know shit. You don't know what went on between them, so shut up. No, I didn't say you eat tiger testicles yesterday to cure you of the CCP for coronavirus or any other endangered. What I said was they believe that tiger penis is beneficial for their health and does things like give them a bigger woody or a bigger pecker or whatever. I don't know what it is. That's a nice shiny cup. This is the one that Bo uses, and I commandeered it from her because we don't have the water bottles now. The little ones that we have. We only have these. And so it's a little better for me when I just pour the water into this. So I commandeered it from her, and now I am going to keep it for a while until she takes it back. Oh, it's going to be November. I wouldn't want to be in the United States in November. Anybody who's in the United States in November, hopefully this will be long gone by then, although I don't know, and you'll be able to travel. Now, what I have heard, getting away from the humorous topics, subjects, comments, is that what may be required is countries and or airlines may begin to say you need to have some kind of a health certificate showing that you have been tested or that you have the antibodies in you and that you are safe to travel. This may become something that's normal, which, it's like, Jesus Christ. How many things do we need? It's like, it's bad enough I got to take my damn shoes off. Every time I go through the airport now, I wear shoes that I can slip off. I have a couple pairs of shoes that I can just slide on and off, like flip flops and that kind of thing, sandals. And I never want to put a pair of socks on and like tennis shoes or boots or whatever because it's too much of a pain in the ass to go in there and take them off. And I don't always wear a belt either because I don't want to have to take a belt. Don't break it, she'll kill you. No, she won't. She won't. I think she's asleep now. She was asleep and I kicked her out because I'm doing the stream. Well, yeah, maybe they have a temperature thing, and also, and something I've been working on this video since yesterday, and Alex worked on it a little bit, although not as much as I would have liked. It's still got too much of my influence in it, but I'm working on a video where I went out on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Tuesday, and I went to the grocery. And when you come into the grocery, they have a machine called it's just a sanitizer. You walk through it. It's a big tube, like a donut, and you walk right through it. It sprays you with a mist, which you can't even feel. And supposedly it is to sanitize you against the coronavirus. That may become the norm as well. When you go into a place where there's a huge number of people, you have to walk through through the donut, through the sanitizing donut. That may become something that will become normal, or at least in the short term, say for the next 12 to 18 months. Excuse me. Who knows? Because, who knows if they're going to get a vaccine for this. If they do, then I guess maybe that would alleviate some of these problems and some of these additional expenses. And one thing that I've been thinking about is the prices are going to go up of just about everything. Here's another myth. Teddy Roosevelt saved a bear's life. Rumor has it Theodore Roosevelt was on a hunting trip when his companion trapped a bear so the president could shoot it. But when Roosevelt saw the struggling animal, he refused to kill it, prompting a heartwarming cartoon that inspired the creation of his namesake, the teddy bear. Oh, wow. I did not know that came from Teddy Roosevelt. That's all true, but here's the twist. Even though he thought it was unsportsmanlike for him to shoot the bear, Roosevelt ordered his hunting partner to put it out of his misery with a knife. Wow. Okay, here's another good myth. Abe Lincoln. I like Abe Lincoln myths and fascinating facts. Abe Lincoln scrawled the Gettysburg Address on the back of an envelope. Urban legend says that Abraham Lincoln quickly wrote his most famous speech on the back of an envelope on the train from Washington, D.C. to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, but the facts don't line up. Oh, come on, he couldn't have written that quickly. I'm sorry, even Lincoln couldn't do that. He'd actually been invited to visit for a speech as early as August, which would have given him ample time to think about what he wanted to say. In fact, none of the 5 original copies of the speech are written on envelopes or in the jerky handwriting you'd expect from someone on a train. Okay, interesting. Let's see here. Maybe for a few months. Yes, maybe for a few months this will go on. If so, I'm going to ask for an anal temperature reading. That's a little too much information beyond Trinity. If you want to do that kind of thing, hey, nothing against that. You can do it if you want, but not my thing. I'll take it. I'll get my temperature taken orally. Let's see, some more Trumpages, some more Trump fodder. We have got to get our country open again. This wasn't designed to have this. You crack it in half. It's no good. Trump is talking about the economy here, I think. All I know for sure is if you crack it in half, it's no good. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's see here. I like this one. I just saw on your show, and a couple of other people just reported back to me, that everyone is in good shape from the standpoint of ventilators, which are very hard because they're expensive and they're big and and they're very high tech. Scotch tape and baling wire. How some hospitals and companies are responding to meet America's ventilator shortage. USA Today, April 8th, 2020. I find that rather hard to believe. Now, maybe that some of the ventilators haven't reached some of the places, but I just kind of find it hard to believe that they're using Scotch tape and baling wire as much as some of these other myths that I've been reading about. Also, Donald Trump on ventilators, they're big and and they're very high tech. Now, that's kind of funny. Do you know the difference between an oral and rectal thermometer? Taste. Ooh. Hey, there you are, buddy. Was wondering, did you see, are you in the country there, RGRTNYJJC? Are you still in Thailand? Inquiring minds would like to know. And there's a reason I'm asking. I'm sure if you are in Thailand, you have seen that If your visa expired on the 26th, you get until April 30th. You get an automatic extension until April 30th, and that may also be updated again. So that's a good thing. Yeah. So what's your standing here? How are you doing, and what did you find a place to stay and all that kind of stuff? Ugh. What is this fascination with the rectum? They need to make it mandatory. All airplanes will be retrofitted with air sterilization for air recirculator. That would help in killing airborne contamination. I agree with that, and that is a very intelligent comment, Beyond Trinity, unlike some of your other comments. Uh, but yeah, I think that they're going to have to. I think that one thing that's going to take place in the future here is there's going to be quite a few more places that are sterilizing things better, so that they are not uh, held responsible if someone were to get sick. Because I can see that coming. Like in 2 years, someone goes, "I caught the coronavirus and gave it to my sister, and she died, and I'm suing you for $10 million because you guys don't wipe down the shopping carts." That kind of thing. I can see that. That may happen. I don't know. I don't know how far they're going to push this. You moved hotels. Okay, so that hotel is everything's cool with that hotel. I mean, they're not going to shut down in the near future. Oh, you already renewed your visa. Wow. And how was that? That must have been a total debacle. Uh, my buddy Scott, who has been, I believe, in a video or stream or whatever in the past, he was thinking of just moving to Cambodia the day before yesterday. Unfortunately, I had to pay the 1,900 baht. Oh, bummer, man. Well, I mean, I take it that you went like the day before, the day of, so not much you could have done about that. Let's see here. Anyway, getting back to my buddy, he wants to move to. Uh, I guess he wants to move to Cambodia because he's had enough. He says he's had enough. He wants to get his lily white ass out of this country, which I don't know. He tends to be pretty central in his thinking. He doesn't. Uh, what is going on with my doodad here? I can't find the. He tends to be very central, like I said, with his thinking. He doesn't lean one way or the other. He doesn't berate ties on a regular basis, but sometimes he gets pissed off. Well, I told him that, and he said, I hope when they at least open the borders. Now, I don't know if he's talking about, I don't know if he knows you can't even get a visa into Cambodia right now, or at least you couldn't. And then I just saw a thing with Cambodia. Uh, it took from 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Well, that's not terrible. It could be much worse. No, it's not anywhere near as developed as Thailand. I don't know if he knows about what it transpires once you go into Cambodia, because they do put you under a 14-day quarantine currently. Um, Holy shit! I didn't see this last night. He says one of his friends, his wife, has been in the hospital for 3 weeks on a ventilator. Holy shit! So, in the next few hours, I'm going to give him a call and talk to him and find out what's going on. But I told him, good luck. I'm sure he can find a flight. He can find a way to get there. He may not want to pay for it, but, pay the amount that they want, the fare that they want. So I don't know what's going to happen. This is a buddy of mine. His name is Scott, and he has been in the stream, one or two of my streams before, or one or two of my videos. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've had him on, but yeah, he's he's been here for as long. He's one of my oldest friends here. So you know, let's see here. I'm interested in knowing what he decides to do because you know, he's got a job where he can work online. I don't know that he'll find Cambodia's internet all that great. It's decent. At least the last time I went, it was decent. So maybe it's better now, and hopefully he can get himself set up if that's what he wants to do. But I don't know that he's going to really want to do this. And I think, you know, something must have pissed him off. I don't know what, but we'll have to find out. And I'll get back to you guys and let you know. No, I don't think he's losing his visa. I think it has to do with his company and the fact that he doesn't have to be in. He does not have to go into the office. In fact, he's been in the office much less than in the past, and he's actually worked from the United States while he was visiting his mother for like a month. He just worked right from there, so it's great. Yeah, I mean, listen, moving to Cambodia is no picnic, and I'm sorry, moving to the Philippines, no picnic. Wherever you go in Southeast Asia, I would say, aside from maybe some places in Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anywhere, Singapore, you're gonna be living, taking a step downward. Even Vietnam. I mean, listen, I got a message the other day from somebody. I don't remember who it was. He was saying that you know, Vietnam is the next place and it's going to be great and blah blah blah. And I'm sorry, but I disagree. And the reason that I disagree is because, first of all, it is still a communist country, so you never know what's going to happen. Second of all, they're not nearly as foreigner-friendly as they were even a couple of years ago, even since the time that I went there, which was early last year. They have changed some of their policies. They've made things a little more difficult for foreigners. And right now, I don't believe they're even issuing visas to foreigners. So, you know, I mean, it might be worth a shot. I guess it depends on what you're doing there, what kind of work you're doing there, and that kind of thing. But it used to be you could get a visa for a year very easily. I mean, just boom, just like that. In fact, you know, I had an agent that could do everything for me once I went there because I thought, oh, well, I'd like to go back there quite often. And I was thinking, how can I do that? And will it be cost effective to have somebody help me with getting, say, a 1-year visa? So I had a 1-year visa there and here. And I could just go in and out of the countries. And I ended up not doing it. And now things have changed. And I don't know to what extent, but they have changed. And I know they're not for the better. So that's what I'll say. So Thailand is, you know, listen, Thailand is is a good place still if you have the means. But, you know, this is the thing. What is having the means? Well, it's their guidelines. And their guidelines have not changed all that much as far as the amounts. You know, and this is what I find kind of troubling both ways because it's perception. And the perception is that many tourists, many expats, Western tourists, Western expats, not Asians, but Western tourists and Western expats, many seem to feel that Thailand is definitely a place where they get a raw deal. Yeah, I don't know about Taiwan. I haven't been there, but I think Taiwan is, from what I know somebody who watches. I think he still watches, but I've talked to him quite a bit, and he went there and stayed there for a while, and he loved it. Now, I don't know that I would, because it's still, it's kind of like Hong Kong. You're still going to have the China problem, issue, thing, whatever you want to call it. So I think that, like I was saying, it's still 800,000. It's still 400,000 for marriage. And then everything is the same. The numbers are still the same. They haven't raised anything. It's just a matter of you have to put the money into your country, which makes it much more of a pain in the ass, and it does. Not to mention costly, and now the insurance. Okay, but you knew the insurance thing was going to come eventually. You got to have insurance. You should not be traveling nowadays if you don't have insurance. I mean, really. There's absolutely nowhere that you should go, really, without insurance. If you can't afford insurance, which you can get for $50, some travel insurance, then you shouldn't be traveling. And nowadays, and the older that I have become, and I have become older, the more I realize how important insurance is, time after time after time. It's just something. It's just like taxes. You really need to have it, one way or the other. You need to have it. If you don't have it, it'll ruin your life. At some point, your life may be ruined. But whether it's by an accident, an illness, whatever it might be. Listen, that when I went into the hospital last year, one day I felt like, hey, I don't really feel that good. I've got some, my stomach is acting up, and I went in and got some medicine, to soothe my stomach. I couldn't find the stuff that I usually use, which is I forget what it's called, but I think it's the elephant thing. It's white, anti-acid. And I took it down, and then I thought I felt a little better, but then the next day I was like, man, I don't feel better. I go and get some pills because I thought maybe I had some bacteria in my stomach, and I think it was like Flagyl is what I got, and I got something else, and then like a day later, I went into the hospital, came back, they gave me some medicine. A couple days later, I was back in the hospital, and they put me in. And, they ended up, I had to go back twice, right? So, I was lucky I had insurance, and even that was difficult. Even with insurance, it can be difficult. My travel insurance includes medevac. Yeah, I think every travel insurance for sure should have medevac, evacuation, emergency evacuation. And I think it needs to be far more than most people believe. I think 25 grand is not enough. I read somewhere that it ranges anywhere from about 50,000 to 500,000 depending on where you are. So if, for instance, Longhorns and I ever decided to do the Kakabaratsi trip, and we were out in the jungle somewhere, and they had to fly in a helicopter, that could, and they flew me back to Bangkok, that could easily be a couple $100,000. So, if you got 25,000, if you only got coverage for 25,000, you're screwed. Exemption is pandemics. Yeah, something has to be done about the way that these insurance companies do business. And I don't know what the answer is because, you can't expect them to cover you for everything and then expect them to stay in business if they keep their prices the same. So there has to be something that gets figured out, and I don't know what that answer. I don't know what the answer is. I don't always have the answers. I don't claim to. But, if there's got to be somebody out there, who's a problem solver who could figure that out. Hey, how can we make this more cost effective and yet give people more? And they've got it nailed down pretty much. I mean, there's a reason why they use, statistics. And to one I used was covering, the one you used was covering coronavirus, really? Well, now the next thing that I'm wondering about is the stimulus bill, and then there's also supposed to be another 250 billion released. So that's something else to think about. I love this one here, the little comment that Trump made. Of course, I mean, anybody can, you watch the press conference, you can just write it down, and I've done that before. You write it down, word for word, verbatim, how he says things. But he said, we have more than 29 million doses, and that's a lot. Then it has in, like, parentheses, it says, does a series of mathematical calculations. Yes, that is a lot. A lot of people are looking at it and saying, I already read this one. Let's see. And I don't hear anything where it's causing death, so it's not like something unsafe. Objection, anecdotal, Your Honor. My mom always wanted to be a lawyer. Well, this is very easy to find out, at least I would think so. Has hydrochloroquine resulted in deaths? In fact, if I want to believe the internet, I could probably do a quick search and find out. Let's see here. Okay, so what I'm typing in here is, has hydrochloroquine ever resulted in any recorded deaths? Okay, let's see if I spell this wrong. The new thing, I do not see any as of yet, is associated with the decrease. Okay. Oh, reported, wait a minute here. Looks like 3 deaths. Okay, there are side effects, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not going to get into those. Mild nausea, stomach cramps, mild diarrhea. Listen, we can get over that if it's going to help you live. Chloroquine has a risk in death in overdose. Okay, that's a different story. In adults of about 20%, while hydrochloroquine is estimated to be 2 or 3-fold less toxic. While overdoses of hydrochloroquine have historically been uncommon, one report documented 3 deaths out of 8 cases. Okay, and they don't have the report. Now, let me see here. Do they? Yeah, it's Myler's Side Effects of Drugs, the International Encyclopedia of Adverse Drug Reactions and Interactions. Treatment recommendations include mechanical ventilation, cardiac monitoring, and active charcoal. Ooh. Intravenous fluids and vasopressors may be required, with epinephrine being the vasopressor of choice. Gastric lavage may also be used. Seizures may be treated with benzodiazepines. Intravenous potassium chloride may be required. However, this may result in high blood potassium later in the course of the disease. Dialysis has not been found useful. Okay, so basically it has that one report that says there have been 3 deaths. And other than that, it doesn't say anything else. So while they're giving him such a hard time about this, I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, and I just read something about a lady complaining about the 5,000 baht was not enough, and then they were giving her a hard time. The people on I don't know, some social media platform. I can't remember all this because literally I go through 100 or 200 websites and little videos, and I just go through them, bang, 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 and then what happens is that only the ones that I view are really important stick out, and I write them down or I bookmark them or whatever. Important things like what CNN is saying about President Trump. They're always saying something. Let's see, what else do we got here? You know, we had the greatest economy in the history of the country. He likes to really tout that for sure. He's always bringing that up. Listen, we don't need to hear how great the economy was in the past. It is what it is. It was what it was. And then all of a sudden they come in and say, sir, you're going to have to close it. Not true, no matter how many times he says it. What do you mean not true? Give us some insight to why is it not true? All right, well, they do have a link, so sorry, CNN. Oh, and they refer to the Washington Post. In many ways, this is the... Oh, come on. What are they doing to me here? Oh, ads. Of course, they're putting the ads up. In many ways, we have the greatest economy in the history of America. Let's see here. They all want money. Nobody's bitching about them asking for money. All right, where's the... Now, in 40 different venues over 3 months, according to our database of false and misleading claims, Trump has declared that this economy is the greatest, the best, or the strongest in U.S. history. That's a rate of every 2 days. In some cases, such as the rally in West Virginia, Okay, just get to the frickin' crux of this. The fact checker. But there's a point. The president knows it is said now that our economy is the strongest it's ever been in the Okay, the facts. Okay. Yeah, give me the facts. Now they're talking about Fox News, what Fox News says. Trump economy remains red hot. Stocks hitting new highs today. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Hannity once said this is the single greatest economy that we had in 10 years. See, this is just, all that is ridiculous. So him saying that, I don't know where he gets his facts from. And, you know, it does say the employment rate in August was 3.9. It dipped as low as 3.8. But the rate was as low as 2.5% in 1953. In fact, it was below 3.9% for much of 51, 52, and 53. Okay, so, you know, harp on them about that. Jesus Christ. It's the lowest the unemployment rate was the lowest since it was 3.8 in 2000. So, you know, it hasn't been this low in 20 years. Even that is, you know, so he's embellishing. He likes to embellish. It's 5,000 baht per month for 3 months. Yes, and not everyone qualifies. And we thought maybe Alex would qualify, but he didn't because he's a student. So anyway, it's about time to go because I'm going to try to start keeping the streams to a certain time, and I want to stick to them. I've said that before, and I want to say it again. And I got to say, I haven't earned a dime for this stream. And where's the... I'm going to give you some facts right now. Stream 38, demonetized. Stream, the one, what would Thailand be without tourists? Demonetized. The stream 34, call for action, blacklist China, demonetized. Stream 32, demonetized. Stream 26, which was, I think it was the one where I was drinking, demonetized. Maybe I can understand that one. Stream 24, demonetized. So my point is that there are ways you can contribute, whether you contribute to me directly or whether you use Amazon or whatever else. Now, I like PayPal because it's fast and it's easy. I also like Apple and Zelle. But you can super chat right here on YouTube. You can also support, become a sponsor on YouTube. You just click that join button at the bottom. You can become a Patreon patron. There's so many ways. If you want to get something, you can get some of my merch. There's a little link in the description. You can get a book. You can buy something else, buy your toilet paper, buy your hand sanitizer, whatever. You can do that right through Amazon. There is a link down below. It says check my Amazon shop. All you have to do is just go to it, and then once you're at my shop, and you go and you buy the hand sanitizer or whatever it is, toilet paper or a bum gun. From now on, by the way, Chuck is known as Bum Gun Chuck. I think that name is apropos. But you do that, and I get a little something. But I like to see that I make a little bit of money for my efforts, not just zero. And thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And what I was going to say is that, think what you will, contribute if you wish, don't contribute if you don't want to. Watch, that's great. I mean, I appreciate the views. The viewership is up in the past few months, and that's great. But YouTube has made it much more difficult. And I just saw on the guy Beyond Trinity showed me a video by Lao Y, and he's been demonetized for 2 months. Now he's got 30 times more viewers than I do, and so he's able to keep going somehow because people are buying his stuff and they're helping him via Patreon or whatever it might be. But anyway, I'd appreciate anything you guys can do. Just check in the description or whatever. And that's it. I'm done. This stream has run its course. So, if you have yet to subscribe, please do so. Please make sure to click on that bell to make sure you get notified of when I'll be streaming again, which I believe will be tomorrow and then Sunday. Or when a video goes up, click like, share, leave a comment. If you need any other information, everything's right there in the description. You want to contact, you want whatever. A audio version of this stream will go up in my blog on my website at americaninbangkok.com. That'll go up later. So please, everybody, take care of yourself. Let's see if I can do this right. Take care of yourself. Say goodbye to everybody. Appreciate you guys watching. Let's see if I can do all this right here. And until next time, talk to you guys later. All right, that works. Let's see here. Boom, there we go. All right. Is online banking in a pain in Thailand nowadays? My account locks even if I switch browsers. No, it's not. Hasn't been a pain for quite some time for me, but I had to fight with the different banks for a fair amount of time. I have two, well, I don't know how many I got. I have two different, I bank through two banks, and neither of them is a problem. I really only use one, though, and that's not a problem. It did used to be a problem, though. Anyway, that's all I got. I got to sneeze. Boy. That felt good, though. Just got to spray the alcohol now.